Welcome to the Scott County Library. My name is Wanda, and we are continuing the summer reading program. Our theme this year is Imagine Your Story. So today we are going to imagine your story, intertwined with your family's story. After all, your family did help to make who you are today. Within your kit that you picked up earlier, you will find a folder. Within this folder are charts that will help you to discover and to learn about your family tree. Your first chart is the ancestral chart. This chart is for the direct line. You start your chart with yourself. You always begin researching your family history with the present. This is the first person on your chart, so you will be number 1, your name. Then there is name for additional information about yourself, your birth, your married, etc. There's information, there's a place here for death, which hopefully sometime in the future, someone else will continue your family history and they can fill in for you. Then your spouse. You will be number 1 on this chart. This spot here is for your father. The top spot is number 2. And your mother is down here. Now from this point on, the males will be even and the females will be odd numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 will be your father's father, then your father's mother, and then your mother's father and her mother. We continue across the chart and we have spaces for your grandparents, father and mother, for each grandparent. So these would be your great-grandparents. Now there's not enough room on this chart for all the additional information. If you wish to continue doing the ancestral chart for your great-grandparents, and you want continuation sheets, you can always visit the library or call me, ask for Wanda S. There's 2 Wandas, so ask for Wanda S. and I can direct you and let you know how to number your continuation sheets for your ancestral chart. The other chart in your packet is the family group sheet. This sheet gives you more detailed information on your family for recording. You begin the family group sheet once again with your family. So down here you will list yourself as well as your brothers and sisters. Then up here is your father and your mother. This asks for the same information as birth, marriage, and death. It gives room also for information about your siblings. Where were they born and when, and their spouses, and when they married and where. This asks for additional information as occupation for your parents, as well as military. Did your father serve in the military? Other husbands and wives. As well as maybe the name of the church where they attended. That can also give you information in the future if you're looking for more information, because churches have records of members and they keep records of marriages and deaths and births. So this may be a source for later. Always begin once again with yourself. We begin with the present and we work backward. Sometimes people like to think, George Washington. My name's Washington. I bet I'm related to George. And they want to jump to George. And it's much harder to start with George and work to the present than it is to start with the present and work back. So we start with the present. Now there are also sheets in your packet, additional sheets in your packet, so that you can have a sheet for your father and his brothers and sisters, your mother, her brothers and sisters. On their sheets, it would list your grandparents. I gave you sheets also for your grandparents, which would list their parents or your great-grandparents. So it depends on how detailed or how much information that you want to do. Let me warn you, family history can be an addiction and you may not want to stop. So you just think of it as a puzzle. You complete your sheets with all the information you can find. You may need to talk to your parents, aunts and uncles, or anyone that may have information that you don't know. If your grandparents have passed away, who has their papers? People usually keep records such as birth records and marriage records or death records, a family Bible. These are all places that you can find the information to help complete your sheet. So start here first and do that type of information first. Also in your packet, you will find a notebook. Now, notebooks come in very handy as you visit libraries, cemeteries. You need some place to record your information. With beginning genealogy, I do recommend that you start on paper. You start on paper until you kind of learn how genealogy works before you start computerizing and doing your computer genealogy. Another recommendation is when you record names on charts, you capitalize the family name. This calls attention to the name as you are searching or looking on your sheets. So your notebooks will come in handy as you're visiting places to make notes. They will also come in handy if you want to write stories about your family. Write what your childhood was like. If something special happened to you as a child, if you had a good friend you wanted to write about, if you spent a couple of weeks every summer with your grandparents, you can write stories. This is your story. You can also talk to your grandparents. Find out what life was like for them as children, what life was like for them when they first married, or when they went to school. Where did they go to school? Just whatever would be interesting. Write a story. Imagine your story. This year is 2020, which is Scott County's bicentennial. So you may want to write about how your family fits into Scott County's history. When did your family come to Scott County? Was it recent or has it been several years? Maybe it was 200 years ago. Now, there's not many records. Our families just didn't sit down and keep a diary saying, oh, we came down the Ohio River on a flatboat. And on day one, we docked here and we took the cow off to eat, or we had to bring hay aboard for the animals. So we have to imagine what life was like. Maybe they came from the Virginias or further south, like South Carolina. Then most likely, if they came to Indiana in the early 1800s, then they came up the Wilderness Trail and came through the Cumberland Gap. Well, there are articles about the Cumberland Gap. People did write about stories along the way and what life was like. So you can read these stories and then write your own story about what you think your grandmother or your great-great-grandmother, your ancestor lived and what life was like for them along the trail with the snakes and the cougars and the bears and whatever. So this is just another item you can use for your family history. Also in your kit is a photo album. You may want to supplement your written history with photos of yourself, your family, your parents, your grandparents. If you're lucky, you might find pictures of great-grandparents and even farther back, great-great-grandparents or great-great-great-grandparents. This is where you might want to check and ask about family papers. A lot of times people would keep little treasure boxes of family pictures. So check the attics of houses, of your parents' houses, or ask aunts and uncles, do you have any parent papers from their parents? After you fill out your family sheet, you fill out what information you have, you find missing pieces. From your missing pieces then, you can visit libraries. You can come to the library. We have a subscription to Ancestry, which patrons can use free of charge. This can help you fill in some of the blanks in your family history. We have books. This book is Early Pioneers of Scott County. If you were one of the early pioneers or your family, you might find information about your family in this book. We have other books about families. We have family folders of information people have donated and other family histories. Marriage books for Scott County. So we have numerous information and various sources for you to find additional information. We look forward to you coming to the Scott County Library. We're here to help you, and we hope that your family history becomes an addiction because it can be fun. Not many people will admit it, but you know, vacations can be fun, visiting courthouses and libraries and even cemeteries. So have a good day. Good luck doing your genealogy, and hope to see you soon.